weapon reskins in TF2 have always seemed like a strange case to me. On one hand, if you like how a weapon works but hate how it looks, it's nice to be able to have another option to choose from. But on the other hand, reskins usually look like they would function differently than their counterparts. And I've always thought it would be neat if cool-looking weapons like the maul had more of an identity than it's the Homewrecker people. So I took a large number of weapon reskins currently available in the game and gave them their own set of stats ranging from slightly modified side grade of the original to completely new weapon idea that's not balanced at all but a ton of fun. For this video at least, I'm only going to be modifying weapons that are relatively cheap and easily obtainable so we can keep the pay to win to a minimum. Basically, if it's under a key on backpack.tf or it's directly craftable, then it's going to be fair game. I'm also not going to be touching the original, either of the pyroland weapons or the Holy Mackerel, since even though they're technically reskins, they have enough unique functions that make them notably different than their counterparts. Alright, let's go. The 3-rune blade is a really cool looking weapon that just doesn't do it for me. Like, sure, if you hit somebody with a sword in real life, they're probably gonna bleed, but if you've made a sword that's so poorly weighted that you're guaranteed to hit yourself if you miss your target, then you'd probably be better off not even forging the sword in the first place and just hurling chunks of iron at people. So hear me out. We've already got Demo Knight, but we don't have Scout Knight. I've always thought it would be really cool if the 3-rune made Scout function kind of like Demo Knight. You have a lot more health, better damage and range, and a slight movement speed buff in exchange for Scout taking his medieval roleplay very seriously and refusing to use any non-medieval weapons. Scout Knight would effectively be a side grade to Demo Knight by trading off health and shield resistances for better movement and secondary utility. I'm actually surprised we don't have a second melee subclass in TF2 already with how much time went into Demo Knight, and the 3-rune seems like the most obvious weapon change to make that a reality. The Holy Mackerel is notably different enough from stock because the kill feed tracking hits function. However, the unarmed combat does basically the same thing as the Holy Mackerel, so it does count as a reskin. The unarmed combat's basically a meme weapon, so I'm not too concerned about making it competitively viable or anything, but I do want to make it fulfill its role as a funny weapon by giving it funny stats. Since you're slapping people around, why not give it a knockback effect? The knockback wouldn't be much, but you'd be able to get kills with this pretty well just by juggling people around. It'd be kind of annoying to fight against, but the idea of slapping people off a cliff is funny to me, so I personally like the changes regardless of how effective they may be. The Nostromo Napalmer is technically not a reskin from stock, because if you have the entire item set equipped, you do more damage against scouts who are wearing the entire alien set, but only like 5 people have ever gotten use out of that specific stat, so I'm willing to make an exception. Most of the flamethrowers right now reward you for being as close to your target as possible, so I thought it would be interesting to make a flamethrower that's the opposite, where it has increased flame distance but reversed fall off, so you have to keep your target at the maximum possible distance to get the most damage. The increased flame speed would also give the flames more range, since their calculation is based on time in the air instead of distance. So essentially, it's not as much of an ambush tool as much as it is a spacing tool. I have no idea how good or bad this would end up being, because it's just such an out there concept, but I think this would be a little bit more of a high skill ceiling flamethrower to add to the game, and it would also work well in the Nostromo due to how the original version works in Alien. The Postal Pummeler has such a random design for an extinguisher reskin. Like, sure, a mailbox as a melee is cool and all, but why make it a reskin of the extinguisher of all things? So if not an extinguisher reskin, what would a mailbox do? Mail has to travel to reach its destination, and a lot of mail travels by air, and yeah, this is a pyro market gardener. There's not much explanation with this one.